Hey there, Pisces, it's Keegan. Welcome to your December 2020 reading with me. I want to let you know a couple of things here at the top of the reading as I'm shuffling the decks. Most importantly, this will be the only reading that I'm doing for the month of December. So this reading will cover from the date that I posted through the end of December in terms of the energy. I will post another round of readings around the 15th of December. Those readings will be taking a look at the energy of the first half of January 2021. I want to just get us out of 2020. Just to be honest with you, I want to push the energy out. I will also be posting some different videos during the rest of the month, some different styles of readings that will also be coming out. But I just want to make it clear that this particular reading is looking at the energy for the rest of December. The other thing I want to let you guys know before I actually get into the reading and forget is that I do have some December specials. You can let me know if you're interested in those by sending me an email, keaghantarot@gmail.com. I have 30 and 60-minute reading slots open, as well as a special 2021 forecast reading where I take a look at the full year of 2020 and what lies ahead for you during that full 12-month period. So let's... I'm going to put this off to the side. I'm going to start with that deck. I have a couple of other decks that I shuffled before hitting record. I want to start just by, I think I'm actually just going to cut and pick a couple of cards for you. Just give me some insight into what's coming through here at the top of the reading. So first card says, I recognize I have chosen fear and I choose again, I choose love. Other card coming out with that is my outer experiences are a reflection of my internal condition. Both of these cards speaking to what feels to me like an awareness that some of the fears, some of the worries and concerns that you've had, Pisces, around connection, around vulnerability, around letting people in, that those fears and those worries have actually shaped some of your experiences when it comes to relationships in general. It also feels like, in particular, there's this a recent specific relationship that might be on your mind here and showing up in your energy. Realizing that is actually a big step. Realizing that the fears that we have actually limit what it is that we can experience, right? If we're going into relationships and connections and we're worrying that the person is going to hurt us or the person's going to cause us harm, if we're going in with guards up and concerns from the very beginning, if we're looking at the person who's in front of us and we're using a filter of the person from the past who did us wrong, who caused us pain, we are actually causing problems. We're limiting the experience that we can have with that person through the fact that we're coming in from a place of fear. So I'm going to leave these cards here just so the energy of them is present, but I want to get started with this deck and just see what wants to come out. We're just going to do a free shuffle type of reading. Three of Swords coming out reversed here. Again, this represents what I was picking up on, a place where there was something very painful that happened, but you're wanting to try to find a way to heal or make amends, apologize, or seek out some sort of apology. I want to say something here because I think it's important. And I used to say it all the time in readings, and then I just stopped saying it because it got so repetitive for me. I think a candle just went out. These readings that I post here on YouTube, they're general readings. And so energies can be a little bit weird when you're just reading blindly for hundreds of people, right? And sometimes these readings can feel very personal, and that's great. But it's also important for you to keep in mind that energies can be reversed, right? So if I say that, there's a space where someone's wanting to work things out, someone's wanting to make an apology or seek out an apology, someone's holding out hope that whatever it was that happened that was painful can be resolved, that could be you, the Pisces who's listening to me, or it could be the person that you're dealing with, right? Very often I get comments from people and they're like, I'm not going to apologize, they need to apologize. Okay, fine. If that's how it makes sense to you, take the reading that way. But keep in mind, energies can, in a general reading, they can go either way. So take what resonates with you, how it resonates. Right? I feel like it's going to be one of those readings, so I just wanted to state that here up front to maybe eliminate some people feeling like I'm personally trying to offend them with what I'm saying. Okay. But with the energy of this Three of Swords, I do feel like there's hope that's coming in, that there can be repair done to what has happened. And with these other cards, choosing love, that would make sense, right? Let's take a look at this Three of Swords and see if we can get some insight into what this was. Any more insight with the Three of Swords, please, for Pisces? So we have the Eight of Coins, High Priestess reversed with the Four of Cups. So, this High Priestess is very loud. Not literally. In terms of energy, this card is really sending out a lot. The High Priestess is very quiet. The High Priestess is actually, usually it's silence, no communication. But this feels like this is the place where there's the most energy here. So this could be a situation where you yourself, Pisces, have cut off communication, or someone has cut off communication with you. And it's a place, this Eight of Coins here is a place where there doesn't seem to be a lot of focus or work being put into shifting that. It feels like it could even have been like a mutual thing where when this Three of Swords, when this event happened, you might have been the one who initially cut things off and have since then tried to re-engage, tried to get response, and are not able to get a response back. Because I'm feeling it kind of like on both sides, being in this place of not communicating. But it feels like initially you were the one that maybe did that. With this Four of Cups, I do just want to say here, this is another card that can represent being a bit disconnected, being in your mind, thinking things through. And I feel like this is actually the space of the other person. For you, when I'm tuning into your energy, it's these cards that really speak to me in terms of what's going on with you. I think you've gone through this process. I think that you've worked things out in your head. You've realized where things went wrong, how, maybe you've sabotaged this a little bit, or your fears that you had were just creating situations where you weren't allowing this to be at its best. It's tricky to talk about this in a way that doesn't diminish what happened, because I do feel like it was very painful. But I think for those of you who are going to be listening to this, you have an awareness that we can only experience, we can only achieve, we can only have possession of what we feel is possible. So if you felt like this relationship was not going to work out, or you felt like this person was going to do something wrong, or you felt like you perhaps were going to make the same mistake or follow in some sort of pattern or cycle that has caused former relationships to be messed up, then it truly wasn't actually possible for the relationship to be happy and healthy, because you didn't believe it could be, right? So I think you've done a lot of work in thinking through that and coming to that realization. But for the other person, this feels very much like their energy, their present energy in the situation. In their mind, thinking things through, disconnected from this, not communicating, being very silent. And they aren't necessarily in a place where they are trying to tune into their intuition or do any of that deeper work. I don't pick that up from them in terms of their energy. Doesn't mean they won't get there, but right now they're not. They're not there. I think you guys want me to take a look at this person, so I'm just going to move these cards up, put these here. Give me more insight into the other person for Pisces, please. We have the Empress coming out. Two of Cups reversed. And the Two of Swords. Okay. So for this other person, they're in a place where they are wanting to just focus on creating something good. And it feels very much like they're in a place where they're not necessarily thinking about that in terms of involving anyone else. This Two of Cups coming out reversed feels like they're wanting to create stability and happiness on their own. The Two of Swords is coming out here to indicate that that might shift for them, or there's still a part of them that's trying to it's, again, like I said, like this isn't all closed off from their side either, but they're not where you're at. They're not as far along in it as what you are. And so I do think I have to be honest in saying that trying to reach out or trying to get them to engage or trying to get them to hear your side of things, they're just their energy is very pulled inward. I think down the road, there is a chance here for you to be able to at least communicate. But they have so much that they're wanting to do, focusing in on themselves. Now, for some of you, I do just want to say here, you could have kids with this person, or there could be a pregnancy. I've stopped saying not all of you, because I did a reading one time and I was like, this is just a small amount of you, and so many people were like, nope, it's me, I'm pregnant. So I do pick that up, though. I do pick up there being parenting energy or children energy. If you are in a situation where something has come to an end and you have realized that you're pregnant, I do think that sharing that would be important. I don't necessarily think it would shift anything in terms of what they're thinking about the two of you, but it would be a factor for them as they're kind of weighing things and trying to figure out what they want to do moving forward. But yeah, their energy is just very pulled in. To the point that even trying to like tune into them just to see what I can pick up from them energetically, it's very quiet for me. And I think part of that might be because it's quiet for them. I think that they really are trying to just sort through their own feelings, sort through their own energy, and see what it is that they even want. Because they don't know. It's interesting to me looking at the two energies, though, because I think that the person listening to me right now, the person who's actually watching this video, you've gone through a lot to get to the point where you recognize how this went down, what your role in it was, what their role was, why things happened the way they did, and to get to the place where you feel like there's still something here worth exploring. You've gone through that process. They haven't even started it. So if you think about everything you had to go through to get from point A to point B, just know that they haven't even started that journey. Right? They're still hanging out behind point A, trying to figure out what it is even that happened and what they feel about it. They're not even willing to kind of engage with the feelings of what the aftermath. Okay, that's the best way to explain it. You've dealt with the aftermath and have now moved into wanting to talk about the future. They haven't even started dealing with the aftermath of it yet. That's how pulled inward and closed off they've made themselves. Okay. Any more insight into this connection, please? What's the potential regarding the Two of Swords? Okay, so in terms of this, trying to keep things open, trying to be in a place where they haven't really made up their mind, they know that they need to make some choices, need to make some decisions, but they haven't yet pulled the trigger yet. We have the Six of Swords coming out. This represents necessary changes, necessary adjustments, moving on from something, allowing things to change, energy around like a new love. Now that might be deciding ultimately to move on towards an actual new person, a new relationship, or realizing that things have to shift and change and be new and different in order for this to be something that they're willing to look at again. It's interesting though, because I do feel like you have done a lot of work in terms of owning your part in it. And I think that would be something that would carry weight with them. for you to be able to say, I know that I had trust issues. I know that I did this. It's like whatever specific to you. Hearing that you have that realization would carry weight with them, because the King of Swords is here, and this is about speaking the truth, right? Being able to actually address the problems that were there, acknowledge them, have a plan for what to do to keep them from becoming problems again. I'm not saying that would absolutely make them come right back into this, but hearing that would carry weight with them. And again, it's not even that it's all on you. I don't want you to take it that way. It's not that you were responsible for all of it. Obviously, in any connection, there's two people involved and there's two people that are contributing. But I think energetically, I feel like Pisces, you had a bit of a blind spot in the things that were on your side that were causing problems, because they were things that did come from fear, and they came from old pain, and they did come from old trauma. And I think you didn't actually have an awareness of them until after the fact. It's kind of been going through that process of looking at what happened. You just had these moments of like, oh, wait, that isn't even related to that person. That's related to this, right? Any more insight, please? Specific to the future for this connection. This reading is a bit challenging, I'll tell you, because this other person is so guarded and quiet. We did have a couple of cards come out though. They are in a very, like I said, they are they're actively avoiding starting to deal with this or process this, because it's very painful for them. They know that once they start to think about things and process things and think about what happened and what that means and the loss of things and trying to figure out what the future might look like, that it's going to really occupy a lot of space in their mind. It's going to make them deal with a lot of stuff that's really heavy. And so they're not quite ready to deal with that. Like, we all know we have to go through this in order to get to the other side of it, right? But they're not ready to do it. Judgment coming out here with the Nine of Pentacles reversed. To be really honest with you, in terms of this person, it's going to take them a while. It's going to take them a bit of time to get to the place where they feel like they can really allow themselves to start dealing with this, because they have to so I'm gonna give you two options, okay? So that I'm not making anyone eliminate their person. So let's say this person is just really pissed off, right? They're really pissed off. They realize that before they can think about this, before they can be rational and sort of sort through things, they have to calm down. Or let's say this person's very emotional. They're very triggered. They're very hurt. And it's this sort of energy where they just feel like there's no hope. It's all pointless. They've just really gone into the depths of the pain and the suffering. They realize that they have to clear some of that, and to realize that what you've done, right? To realize it wasn't all them, it wasn't all you, to see it from a place that isn't as emotionally heightened, to be able to sort through things and realize this really had nothing to do with this connection, that had to do with this thing from my past, or this thing that happened to me, or this thing from my childhood. But they can't do that right now because of where they're at, right? They don't trust their ability to really have solid judgment about this, and they want to be able to be in a place where they can trust, and before they're willing to make that sort of final decision about something, or to decide what it is they really want, whether it is to try again or to walk away from this, they need space. and they're not really giving an option about whether or not they take it. They're taking the space that they need. Okay? They will probably really occupy themselves with work. That feels like it's a place where they are able to keep themselves occupied and to not necessarily have to spend much time thinking about this or feeling. They're going to keep themselves very busy. And my advice to you would be to accept that, to grant them the space that they need, to grant them the room to go through sorting things out on their own. If there is something that's very important that you communicate, and you have a way of communicating that, and specifically I'm talking about the people that I think, there might be a pregnancy that's involved here, find a way to communicate that, but know that they still might not necessarily even respond back to it. It would be something they will add into their thought process and something that they will, be aware of, but they just feel very, very silent. And I don't sense that shifting with them. Not immediately. So I want to get an oracle card out here. What I will say is, if this resonated with you, and you want to explore it more deeply, specific to you and your person and your situation, if you're interested in that, reach out to me for a personal reading, because at that point, there's no other energies involved here, right? So the reason that I say that is because, and you don't even have to do the personal reading with me, right? If you can do it with whoever you trust, but at this point, a little over 20 minutes into doing a reading, maybe 60% of you, this person reaches out in a month. Maybe 20% of you, it takes 3 months. Maybe the other, 20% of you, this person decides they're not ever going to talk to you again. Right? I can't tell you where you're at because there are all these competing energies. I can just tell you right now, this person's not going to respond. They're not going to communicate. They haven't begun the process of really doing what they need to do to be able to give you any sort of answer. Of those 60% of you who the person reaches out, maybe half of you it works and half of you it doesn't. There are too many of you right now for me to give you definite positive or negative insight into what's going to happen here. That's why these readings are general. They're for a huge audience or for a large audience. Hundreds or thousands of people watch these. And so, again, it's like if you want to explore more deeply, it needs to be through a personal reading. So the reader, whoever that reader is able to just tune into you and your person. And all that other noise and all those other possibilities are eliminated. That's why readers say, this is as far as I can go in terms of the group that I'm reading for, because I can't do individual readings for everyone who watches this. Okay, but let's get an oracle card out here for you, specific to what's best for you regarding this connection, the insight that's been shared in this reading. Okay. So true healing occurs when I give myself permission to feel whatever feelings live below the triggers. And I think that's actually insight into this other person, because I think you've already done that, right? You've experienced that thing that happens when you realize, why was I so distrustful? Right? Being distrustful was a trigger. Being guarded was a trigger. Why do I have those defense mechanisms or those protective mechanisms in place? Where does that stem from? Oh, it's from the relationship before, or oh, it's from what I saw. It's from what I saw demonstrated between my parents when I was a kid, or it's because my dad left when I was a kid, and that gave me abandonment issues. But this person needs to do that, and they're not doing it yet. And the only way that they get that true healing, so that they can come forward and be able to say, okay, I know why I was triggered in this way because of this thing that happened and the feelings that I need to resolve, the trauma that I need to resolve. I feel like that's more related to them than to you. This feels like you, right? I choose love. I choose love no matter what. I get it. I think that for you, you desperately want this person to at least be able to open up and communicate with you. You want to be able to heal this. You want to be able to try to salvage this. But the best advice I can give you is to give this person the space that they need. Okay? So Pisces, I hope that this gave you some insight, some information. Again, I'll be back in a couple of weeks looking at the energy of January 2021. That's so crazy to say that. And just, I know it's tough, but sometimes we have to give people room. We have to give people space. We have to be willing to allow someone to do the journey that they need to do. And often when someone needs to do that type of journey and that sort of self-exploration, we can't be a part of it. They have to do that on their own. Okay? Bye, Pisces.